Channel members, how are you? Thank you so much for being channel members. I'm trying out some new gear today. It's getting kind of complicated. I have a lavalier mic on. That's what this is called. I like the handheld mics better, but there are a few videos I have coming up where I want to film at an animal shelter. I already talked to them and they said that I could, and I want to film a couple videos at restaurants. So I might want to have an extra hand. So the handheld mics, I think they sound better, but we're going to try this lavalier mic out. And I would like to answer a couple questions from some channel members, Tanya and Natalia. And I thought, let's try that out. And I also have a new camera right down there. It's called a Insta360 Go 3, in case you're wondering. But it's giving me a different point of view. So I can change camera angles and you can see kind of what I see. So there's two cameras working at the same time. We'll see. This could be a total disaster, but I won't have to turn my GoPro that much. I'll already have a shot there. We'll see how it looks. But Natalia had a question. I have it pulled up on my phone. There's a dog. There's a dog barks at me. I think it's a friendly dog. All right, Natalia is talking about the video, black flies. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but we have been having a problem this summer with black flies. Actually, this question kind of has something to do with pests. I'm thinking about doing a whole video on pests. Well, here's a question from Natalia from Chile. She's saying, oh yeah, got a black fly buzzing around me right now. She said, why were you wearing your dad's shoes in a place swarmed by ticks? That's a good verb, by the way, swarmed. I'm not being swarmed by bugs right now. It's just one lone black fly. Weren't you afraid of tick bites? I thought this kind of insect only lived in animals' furs, like dogs or deer. Are they as common as mosquitoes? So we do have to worry where I live for ticks. And yes, dogs, cats will get ticks and fleas. Fleas in English aren't that bad. They don't really affect humans that much. But the ticks are what we do have to fear. And we're actually probably going to be walking in the woods right now. So I had a friend of mine, his name's Mike. I have a lot of friends named Mike, but he was bit by a tick. And Natalia mentioned deer, and deer ticks are the ones that we have to worry about. They do mostly live on deer, and I have seen deer in this woods before. Just a couple days ago, Jamie and I were walking and we stumbled upon one deer. I think it was only one deer, but I've surprised a couple deer in here before. I think they were doing something together, which is why I could get so close. But yeah, so you have to worry about deer ticks. Now, where I'm walking and the grass is not tall, I'm not too worried about ticks. But if I went into the tall grass over there, I would be worried. And once you go into tall grass like that, especially wearing shorts, you have to check yourself for ticks. And that happens whenever I was hoping we'd find a deer here, but that happens whenever I go into tall grass, which I don't do very often. And in the United States, at least, pet owners sometimes will give their pets treatment so that they are less likely to get ticks on them. But it does happen every so often. And my friend Mike was bit by a deer tick, and he contracted. That is a verb we would probably use when you get a disease. He contracted something called Lyme disease. And luckily he caught it early, but it can really affect the way you're able to move. We would probably call it your motor skills, the way you can move. And I have another friend, his name's Kevin, and he has a daughter who didn't catch Lyme disease early enough, and she got really sick. I think she's still quite sick. So it is definitely a concern. Mosquitoes this year are not that bad for some reason. In Maine, where I live, and I know Alaska can get mosquitoes really bad. This year, the mosquitoes are not that bad. It's the black flies, gnats, we might say. Black flies bite. They don't hurt that much, but there are little gnats. It could be a gnat that was flying around me. They're not that fun, but they don't bite. My brother, he mows a lawn. He mows lawns for a living. He mows lawns for a living, and he said that he has had some really bad problems with gnats. Oh yeah, there are a lot of black flies in here now. Sounds like there's a lot of water running somewhere. That's odd. That's different. Oh yeah, it's right here. I don't know if my other camera will pick it up. Lots and lots of water. All right, next one. Where's my phone? Tanya. Tanya had a question. Oh my gosh, her question is really kind of difficult. I might need to stop and think for a minute. So she is asking about the latest road trip I took. And I took that on something called Route 1. But she said she found a Route 1 in California. Like, basically, what the heck is going on? Oh, she also mentions, could I call that swaying bridge a hanging bridge? I would say hanging bridge, but not really a swaying bridge. Suspension bridge, I might say. Okay, let's try to tackle this question. Maybe go up this way. Okay, route. This is very confusing. This is very confusing. Okay, so if you look at a map, there's something called Route 1. And it goes from basically the Canadian border all the way down to Florida. And that is a really old road. There's also an interstate, 95, which almost goes the same way. Excuse me, and you will hear route and route. I say route, but sometimes you will hear Americans say route. Okay, so Route 1 came first. Go this way. Yeah, the sun's coming this way. Let's go this way. Route 1 came first. It's a lot older. There's a very famous highway out west, not anywhere near where I live, called Route 66. And those are really old roads. If you see street signs like Route 66 or Route 1, they were probably built at about the time cars were invented. So these are really old. Then in the 1950s, something came along called the Interstate Highway System. And it was developed, yes, for people, but also in the 1950s when the United States was in a Cold War against the Soviet Union, the interstates were designed to be a great way to move military equipment from one coast to the other if we had to. Speaking of military equipment, 2 huge helicopters, huge, like President Trump says, 2 huge helicopters flew over my house yesterday. I think I have footage of that. So there are these routes that go from state to state, and they're a little bit older. The highway system, the interstate highway system, is usually more efficient. Like, those highways are usually in a straight line. The routes kind of meander. It's a good verb to use. Meander. If a person is meandering, they aren't really walking in a straight line. They're not really in a hurry to get somewhere if you're meandering. But some states, I think all states, also have routes, state route. So a state route, like Maine has quite a few state routes, and those are kind of smaller roads, and they don't go to another state. Yeah, it's very, very difficult, our highway system. If you look at 95, that goes from Maine to Florida, one of the most famous highways we have. It's just lots and lots of traffic. So sometimes there's ways to get around those highways. For example, 495 is a highway you can take that will go around Boston. But still, 495 has a lot of traffic on it too. So if you want me to talk more about the highway system, I can. Let me know in the comments, especially if you've gotten this far in the video. But basically what I do is I just put it into GPS, and GPS tells me where to go. I went to the phone store yesterday where I get my phone service. Because I'm going to Canada, I said, hey, I need to be able to use my phone for GPS in Canada. And they said, sure, no problem. It's just like a penny per text, per gigabyte. I don't know how it works, but they said it shouldn't take too much of my data. All right, that's a lot. Thank you all for being channel members. See you next time.